Marketing sucks. Right now, there's a lot of bad marketing out there, and I think it actually hurts in many ways. It keeps us all kind of anxious and tired. I started TriggerPoint because I wanted to change marketing. I wanted to change the way we think about persuasion. So I'm sitting there thinking, there's no book, and even though I thought there's a couple of books out there, I was translating it, but nobody else was. 2 days later, no lie, I'm in a pool, and I heard about Scribe on a podcast out of the blue. And that's why I thought, a book? Like, why not a book? Why not get this idea out to a platform called Amazon to the masses? I knew I had a book. I knew I had a passion for what I wanted to write, but I just didn't know how to go and do it. So what did I do? I went to Google and I type in how to write a book, and out comes lots of different opinions and advice from experts and pseudo-experts telling me how I should write my book. And I started to get up early and I started typing every day. And after about 4 months, I noticed that I basically had about 1.5 pages of content because I always self-edited. Because in corporate America, you're used to self-editing your work. You have to do that. So I ended up tabling that. It was just too frustrating. I wasn't getting anywhere. There's a sense of like anxiety that you get when you look back and you're like, I have not done anything with one of my biggest goals. You feel a little bit of shame at some point. Not so much, but it's more the anxiety and the feeling of failure. Like you just haven't done something you know that is important to you. It's a hell of a lot of money, right? It's a lot of money for you because it's not like everybody sits on a pot of money saying, how am I going to use this? I had to divert money from my marketing budget for my company into this. And it was my entire marketing budget. You know, I don't have a big company. So I had to think to myself, is it going to be worth it? And what I did was I looked at my marketing over the course of 3 or 4 years, and I basically did the same thing. I used that same amount of money to go to a conference, to get a table, to talk about my company. Maybe I get to speak, and maybe I'll do a webinar. And that stuff worked. Nothing compared to, I mean, it's so minuscule to what the book has done for me. But I kept thinking to myself, at a minimum, I'd have the best freaking business card ever, right? I would have a book that I could write in there saying, hey, loved talking to you, and hand people a book. And right now, that is the best business card going, because every time I go to a client, hey, I have a book for you, I have a book for you, and it just puts you on a totally different level. What I loved about that relationship is that they would call me out. A lot of companies don't call you out. They're like, whatever the customer wants, if you want to go down this rabbit hole of you joining the Army, you can do that. I'm telling you as a professional, you're going down a rabbit hole that's going to hurt your book. And I can remember having that conversation. I wanted to bring this moment where I decided to join the Army into the book. And man, my writer tried. And because he wants to help me. And I can remember him saying, it just doesn't work, Will. And that relationship, that give and take of him protecting me from myself was built more confidence. So at some point I finally said, you do what you do best. I'm just going to give you a bunch of stuff. You do what you do best. I know that you know how to get a good book out of me, so I'm going to go with what you say on most occasions. So it's only been about 6 months since we launched, and I've made $400,000 from it. It's changed everything. So the first thing is, it did what I wanted to do, which was drive business to my consulting company. What it did that I did not expect was create a brand new company for me. People did not want to do consulting necessarily with TriggerPoint. They wanted to hire me as a person, like a thought leader. And they're like, rather, I don't have a project for you. I want you to come to us and teach us. I want you to come to us and look at and review how we're doing things and educate us. So it's this whole like knowledge economy that I wasn't expecting. And now my revenues have shifted where 100% of my revenues were from consulting projects, like where there's like cost of goods sold, right? To knowledge economy, which is, I would say 30 to 35% of my business is like no cost of goods sold. We're gonna fly you in. We're going to have you sit with our team, discuss these things, and we're gonna pay you for your ideas. I just never would have thought that, right? I thought the whole idea was push sales to TriggerPoint and make a difference in the industry, and it created a whole new opportunity to where I get to speak about my passion every day, where before, yeah, I gotta go through TriggerPoint, I gotta do projects, I gotta invoice. Now I have the ability to share my passion and get paid for it. It's just surreal. The book has brought people to me that I used to always seek people, like seek clients. Now clients come to me and they give opportunities. Like I just recently was asked to do branding, internal branding work for a very large pharmaceutical company. The book, they wouldn't have thought of me of being in the space to create a logo, content, workshops internally if that book didn't exist. So rather than me trying to figure out what's my business strategy moving forward, and will the market react well to that idea, the market's telling me where they want me to go. I just recently did a conference at, it's called IIEX in Austin, where it was the most innovative researchers conference out there. I was the keynote there. I got to kick off the sessions and talk all about the company, the book, with literally leaders in the behavioral sciences space. So it gave me a platform for that. I'm doing a neuromarketing conference in New York City as well. I've never done that conference before, but they saw the book. They're like, we want to have a published author on stage. So I'm going to do the neuromarketing forum. And they asked me to go to Amsterdam. But I couldn't pull that one with my wife. She wouldn't let me go to Amsterdam. It was about 2 weeks after the launch of the book, and I'm driving for Thanksgiving. We're driving to go see my wife's family in Louisiana, and I get a call, and she's driving, so I'm sitting there, and I get a call from a large hospital chain in Texas. And I'll never forget it. Said, we read your book. We want to talk to you about bringing you in for a marketing offsite, which was, again, a little bit surreal because I've never done a marketing offsite. And I'm sitting in the car and I'm thinking, well, gosh, I'm going to get in front of 80 marketers. So absolutely, would love to be there. I'd love to come talk to your team. She goes, well, it's coming up in December. Can you be ready? I'm like, absolutely can be ready. I live in Texas, so I can drive there. And all of a sudden, I'll never forget, I'm in the seat. She goes, well, how much do you charge? And it's on speakerphone. So I look at my wife, she's driving. And I look at her, she looks at me and I remember saying, I hope I didn't sound like this. I said, 12,500? And I probably said it like that because I had no idea. And you hear this pause, and there was a couple people in the back I could hear, and they go, okay, we can do that. And there's this moment of like, oh, did I undercharge? But there's also a moment like somebody's gonna pay me to go in front of 80 potential clients for $12,500 to talk about a passion that I would have done a week before for free.